Okay, we're going to get you healthy this morning because Ed Jones with Nutrition World is back on the show. He's brought with him Dr. Curt Dearing, and our topic, as I understand it this morning, Ed, is what do you do when you have an ache or a pain? Do you go to a familiar bottle to grab an NSAID, or do you do something different? Is that right?
Well, if you ask Ed Jones what he does, he's going to do something different. And the reason I do it differently is because I spent 46 years studying what I feel is the very best options to create the slowest aging, the lowest damage to the body, and the best outcomes. We've been sold a bill of goods that over-the-counter Advil, Motrins, and aspirins and prescription strength painkillers are what we need when we have surgeries or we have pains. And really there's a downside to that. Dr. Dearing's very a clinical pharmacist of 3 decades is going to explain some of that. But here's my personal story. You know, I had hip pains and I actually had double hip replacement 2 years ago this week. 2 years ago, but 2 years before that, I had to take painkillers. I could not get out of the car.
Yeah, you were in agony. You could see
agony
it.
Most of the 24 hours a day. And I did everything to try to help the body fix itself. It just couldn't. It was broke. What happened with that is I saw my kidney functions drop significantly, and I saw that gut health drop significantly because there was a pharmacist named Dr. Joe Graydon. I remember reading back in the 90s. He said you bleed a 1/4 teaspoon of blood every time you take a pain pill. A 1/4 teaspoon. Well, we have about 70% of the people on non-steroidal anti-inflammatories are having gut damage. They may not feel it, but they're having it, and that is devastating to so many functions in the body, like your immune system and in your neurotransmitters.
Okay, so let me see if I can translate for a minute. So think about whatever you might have in your medicine cabinet at home. You read the back label, and it'll tell you how many pills you can take every 4 to 6 hours, and then in the little tiny print, it might say, overuse could cause liver damage, overuse could cause whatever. So is that what we're talking about here, Dr. Dearing?
Yeah, and the problem is most people get comfortable taking it longer than they should. They don't read the fine print on how long to take things. And the way that the NSAIDs work is they block prostaglandins, and prostaglandins are the precursor to the pain-causing chemical in the body. So that's the good news, it's blocking the pain. Bad news is prostaglandins protect the lining of your stomach, and prostaglandins protect your kidneys. So when you're not protecting those, you can end up with damage, which is what he's talking about. And also, it can increase your chance for heart attacks, increase your chance for stroke. And so in the world of conventional medicine, they want to go with NSAIDs, but the safe alternative is to go with Tylenol, acetaminophen. Everybody thinks it's perfectly safe. Well, lo and behold, we finally get in the last decade or so, we got a lot of data coming out showing that it also can cause peptic ulcers. And just like NSAIDs, it can raise your blood pressure about 5 points. And the worst thing about acetaminophen Tylenol, in my opinion, is that it depletes glutathione. So when you take Tylenol, it's actually a toxic chemical, and your liver has to detoxify it, and it uses glutathione to do that. Glutathione is the major detoxifier in the body. And so when you're depleting glutathione, then you can no longer detox other things going on in the body, which in my opinion is the worst part is that when we give it to kids, especially after they've had vaccines, and all of a sudden, you know, vaccines work. We won't get into the details of that, but one of the ways they get them to work is to put adjuvants in there, which are usually neurotoxins. You need that glutathione in order to break down those toxins. So you're putting your kid at risk when you give them Tylenol. Not to mention the fact that even if they're sick and you give them Tylenol, the body was produced to have a fever for a reason. We don't really want to be reducing fevers in kids because it actually boosts the immune system and keeps you from, it keeps your body to be able to fight the pathogens better.
Yeah, I've heard the rule of thumb is try to let the fever break on its own for like a couple of days, and then if that doesn't work. Okay, so we don't want to panic people though.
No.
Because everybody watching probably has these very things in their medicine cabinets, and they probably used it yesterday.
Yep.
Right, so we don't want to panic people. You've brought some products with you we'll kind of point to. Are these more natural ways to try to alleviate the pain?
The prostaglandin thing I talked about is called COX-2, and these right here, like curcumin, will block COX-2 pathway, but doesn't affect the COX-1 pathway. So you're getting all the beautiful benefits without the side effects. And what I say about curcumin is that not only do you get all the anti-inflammatory effect, it's the most powerful anti-inflammatory in nature. It doesn't get any better. Head-to-head studies better than ibuprofen. Head-to-head studies better than Tylenol. So it works better, it's safe, and it's also very effective.
I'll be careful how I step into these waters, but you go back 20 years, I would go to my local pharmacist, and she and I were buds. I mean, I could go to her for anything. She'd offer me advice. We could talk. Those days seem to be a little different now. I don't think people know their pharmacist in quite the same way. If they come to talk with you at Nutrition World, are you just kind of there to talk to people?
Unless I'm doing a consult with somebody, then I'm available to talk to people about it. And if you go to your local pharmacist to try to talk to them about this, I would have been no different 5 years ago than they are. The medical world just doesn't know this world exists, and that's one of our goals at Nutrition World, is to reach out to the medical world and try to get them to understand that they want to treat their patients to the best of their ability.
Right.
There's a safe and effective way to do it in the green pharmacy world, the nutraceutical world.
Poor Ed, the segments never last as long as you wish they would, but can I show people how to get in touch with you?
Absolutely, and I will say that I take painkillers once in a blue moon for a week. That's
Okay.
the most you should ever take them, in my opinion.
NutritionW.com. You know where he is on Lee Highway. Thank you both so much.
Thank you, Julie.
An important message for Americans ages 50 to 85.
That's how it ended. I remember